doesn't have anything, is willing to give this child out to somebody to go and do house girl and house boy work. At least we can relate to that one. Down your street, even in your compound or in your environment or in your neighborhood, you must have seen a child, and you can tell this child is the help because this child looks unkept. This child looks different from the children from that household. Even if you walk into a restaurant today, chances are that you can tell between the help and the children. Now, maybe the person is not a help. Maybe they didn't give the person out as a help. But they would say, things are hard for me. Go and stay with my cousin in Port Harcourt. At least, I know of a family where things became very, very terrible for them. And you know what they did? The father is in one location. The father went back to the village. The mother is squatting somewhere with someone else. And then the 4 children they have, they distributed them to different places. You go and stay with my sister. You go and learn work with this person. You will be with me. You are still too small. I still need to watch over you. So all the children are not together. And it has been like that for years now. I wonder what it would feel like when all these children eventually get to meet themselves. Some sort of reunion. It will be when the husband and wife will eventually come together and things will get better and they will all live together. Access to education. If you're poor, chances are that you may not be able to access education. Yes, thanks to the government for providing free universal basic education. But then it is said that some of these free basic universal education are not as they seem because insufficient equipment, learning equipment, infrastructure, and even lack of teachers. So as much as it is free, it may not be the standard. And now what that's on one hand, then there is another thing of, how many people are taking advantage of the free education when in some parts of Nigeria, some parents still feel like girl children should not go to school, only the boy children should go to school. When some families in Nigeria will still tell you, you will not go to school. Your younger ones will go to school. You will be the one to sacrifice and do all the jobs and do all the hard work for them to go to school. Then maybe when they are done going to school, we can now think of training you. Or what about cases of insurgency that we hear in the northern parts of Nigeria that has displaced a lot of families? Or the flood situation, for instance, that has rendered some people homeless. These are all factors that can lead to lack of access to education. And then working from a young age, that cultural acceptance. If you grew up at my time or the time before now, you would relate. They feel like, you know what, at your age, I was already doing this and doing this and doing that. So you should begin from an early stage to take up responsibility. It's not wickedness. It's part of the training. It's part of the upbringing, this and that and that and this. So yes, you have to start to support the family in your own little way. And then we see a large number of children underage on the street hawking plantain, hawking sachet water, hawking drinks, begging as well. What else do they hawk? Hawking kerosene, whatever you can possibly think of. These children hawking akara and bread in traffic, trying to clean people's what's it called? Is it the is it windshield? I hope I'm not getting it wrong. Trying to wash it off and ask for money in return. And some of us actually patronize these children. Sitting here, I can remember several times I have been to the market and I want to buy from someone else. But when a child comes to me and says, Auntie, buy, Auntie, buy, I look at that child and I feel some level of pity for the child and I just buy. Because in my head, this child shouldn't even be here selling this, all things being equal. This adult can take care of, but this child needs to sell because I don't know the conditions given to this child. Maybe if this child doesn't sell off everything, this child will not sleep in the house. The auntie or whoever sent this child to come to the market to hawk this periwinkle or whatever it is will beat this child blue and black. I have bought things like that out of pity from children. And then now I'm asking myself, have I also added to the problem? I'm also thinking top of my head, if we do not patronize these underage hawkers, these children that should ordinarily be in school, will their parents still send them out to hawk? Or will the people that are in charge of them still send them out to hawk? So I'm asking the ultimate question today. Enough of talking about the problems. I believe we've talked about them for too long. I am here to cut a way forward. The solution it is, what role can citizens play in the fight against child labor in Nigeria? 0817 923 0002, 0817 923 0003, 0817 923 0007, and the female caller line is 0817 923 0009. WhatsApp and Telegram number remains 0809 030 6416. Once again, you type your messages and you send to the WhatsApp number. You do not call the WhatsApp number, you send your messages. And then Twitter is at Nigeria Info PH. Facebook page remains Nigeria Info 92.3 PH. And on Instagram and Threads, it is at Nigeria Info FM _PH. Also remember to turn down the volume of your radio set as you call and be audible so we can hear you. I have a certain Samuel calling from Oyibo. Hi Samuel, welcome to the sunny side. Go ahead. Samuel, welcome.
Are you with me?
Samuel, can you hear me? Oh no, what's going on, Samuel? I could hear Samuel, but apparently he couldn't hear me. Please, you may have to call back. So the question remains, windscreen. Yes, thank you. Why did I forget? The windscreen. We see them in traffic every now and then, telling you that. In short, they don't beg you to clean. They just rush and clean, and then afterwards you're obligated to give them something. And if you don't give them something, the funny thing is they would insult you the hell out of you. It's not like I encourage it, but then again, what can we do? The government are trying on their part. And by the way, there's a law against it, and there's a punishment for it as well. Yes. So the Child Rights Act of 2003 defines acts that constitute child labor and also stipulates some penalties for defaulters. According to the Act, any person or group of persons who subject a child to any form of exploitative or forced labor, who employs a child to work in a capacity other than domestic or light agricultural and horticultural work as a family member, who asks a child to carry, lift, or move heavy items which could pose negative effects on the child's social, physical, moral, and mental development, who employs a child as a domestic help outside the child's family environment or home. This number 4. If you don't understand any other one, this number 4, you can relate. I tell you the truth. Some of you had domestic helps growing up. You had helps growing up, and these helps, you were over than them. They were obviously children that should be in school. So part of the act says, who employs a child in an industrial undertaking other than required and duly supervised technical work in schools or other approved institutions is deemed guilty of child labor in Nigeria and liable for conviction and imprisonment for 5 years or the payment of a fine not exceeding 500,000 naira, depending on the gravity of the crime. The defaulter can be made to serve the term and also pay the fine. Similarly, any individual who at the time of crime served a convicted corporate body as a chief executive officer, director, manager, supervisor, or agent of the corporate body shall be considered an accomplice and shall be made to pay a penalty of 250,000 naira. So whether you are the one that's employed or you are part of agency that is to recruit them, you are among. So it prohibits buying, selling, hiring, disposing of, or obtaining or dealing in children as merchandise, contracting children to beg for alms, to guard alms beggars. This one is also common in this Port Harcourt. You see them. They are at Rumola Junction. They are at some major bus stops. Those children that will come and beg, or they are assisting one person to beg. Then there's prostitution work for domestic and sexual labor or any other illegitimate and immoral purposes. Enslaving a child for debt bondage. So your father went to borrow money and then they use the child as some sort of, when I pay back, I will collect my child, or take my child and lend me money. Sell them forced and compulsory labor, contracting children to hawk goods and services on city streets, highways, and brothels, depriving a child of the opportunity to attend and remain in school, and procuring a child for prostitution and the production of pornographic materials, as well as contracting a child for drug trafficking. Some of you send children to go and buy hard drugs. And a person found guilty of the above listed shall be imprisoned when convicted for a term of 10 years. Also, a person who employs a child for profitable criminal labor shall be imprisoned for a term of 14 years. So there is a punishment, and the law has spelled out everything that falls under the category of child labor in Nigeria. Nigerian for good afternoon and welcome to the sunny side.
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Denise. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Thank you. It's Muriel.
Muriel, welcome.
You see, Denise, I appreciate this deal, but Denise, Eastern brothers, or let me just say, especially some persons that can't train their children in a formal education, and decide that they want to send their children to learn handwork, to the mechanic, or just to serve somebody. Then when they grow up, when they complete the service year, the person will settle them, especially our brothers in the East. So what do we call that?
How old is the child? Because they're saying 12 to 11 years. So is the child below 12 years? If the child is below 12 years, then it will amount to child labor.
Trust me, Denise, some persons who send their children off even before 12. I've seen. Yeah. So what about you as a parent now? And your child comes back from school and you decide to send that child at least to just up here what's around you, or do small sales for you. Go to the market, sell for you. Is that it child labor? Will it amount to child labor?
Yes, that is what it is. That is what it is.
This one entire person,
Hold on.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Help them.
Come again?
I said, yeah, some persons, their children have to help them as they go along with their children to the market, to different places, to sell for them, to do business with them. Well, I don't know I don't know how they can stop it. I don't know how they can monitor that.
Well,
but it's happening.
Well, it's people like you now that have seen things like this that will help us in reporting such. I mean, that's basically...
When I see a child, I think her mother to say, to do this, that we go and say, Mama, this is child labor. So, am I the one providing food for them, yes?
Okay, so are you saying that it is supposed to be encouraged or something?
Denise, I know it's wrong, especially for some that send the children. Some persons bring people's children from the village, then they now engage them to these children going to high level. Some of them, they even promise the children formal education, but when the children come, they engage them in hard labor. All those ones are wrong. But for a person that cannot, is with a child, she cannot afford formal education, and it sees that a child does distance business from 10, maybe before 11. I don't know how they can monitor that and stop it. Thank you, Denise.
Hello. Hello, good afternoon. Hello. Hello.
Can you hear me? Good afternoon.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Welcome. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is George, calling from LMS.
George, you're
Now,
welcome.
when we talk about reporting parents who are putting their children on the line early or engaging them, we need to first of all worry about what provision do I have in mind to help that family. Now, only the mother know her condition. Maybe the mother is not as healthy as she's supposed to be, or the father, or something like that. But it is just a situation that has made them to come out to the market like that to sell. Now, if I want to come to a point to challenge somebody, why is your child in the market by 9 o'clock when you're supposed to be in school, and considering the age to be like 7 or less or more? Then I need to be, if they give me the condition now that, okay, we'll not get school fees and pursue and come back out, will I be able to put her in my pocket and say, take school fees and go back to class? So when we are not, we are fond of finding faults instead of finding a solution to the problem. We know the government has failed us, but then we should not try to add more. I'm not encouraging child abuse of any kind of, but then let's also put the family into consideration. Those children are helping the family one way or the other. And one thing I was saying,
But hold on. I didn't get your name. This is a child, and it is clearly not in the child's place to start helping the family. It is the family that would help the child first until the child gets to the appropriate age where they can in turn help the family.
Okay, the family needs to help themselves. From where? People are going through tough times. There are people that know.
See, hold on. You don't in a bid to solve one problem now create another problem. I don't know if you get.
Definitely.
Now let me put this straight to you. Do you understand that these children on the road are sometimes endangered species? These children are at risk of anything you can possibly think of. They are at risk of getting shot if they are in a crisis zone. They are at risk of getting kidnapped. They are at risk of getting raped. They are at risk of being kidnapped for trafficking and you think of any possible danger that will come to this child. So the parents, ordinarily, the parents owe it to the children to provide and protect them.
So what do we do?
So what you're saying is it's okay for children to be out on the road selling because they want to help their family and things are bad.
Do I see it? I just believe that proper training should be given to them before engaging and then just to the street. They should be properly orientated on what to do and not what to do and what not to do.
As children, is that what you're saying? A child that you tell sit down for here, the child will tell you no, I don't go sit down for here.
Things are hard. This time we need all hands on deck.
Okay, things are hard. All hands on deck. So I send my child to the road. I send my child, Ngwano, come and go and start selling this one. I carry my child to the road and I start begging for arms. Okay. Nigerian Phil, good afternoon to you. Welcome to the sunny side. Go ahead.
Thank you. Sister Didi.
Brother who?
If parents were not poor, do you think that any parent can ask his or her child of 11 years to go out to sell pure water?
I think I have already buttressed that point. Okay, I already mentioned that poverty is at the bane of why we have.
Let's take another point. Those that their parents are teachers, but have not been paid for 3, 4, 5 months, and the parents are struggling for them to eat. How are those children to survive? Those that work in the companies, that their companies are folded because of the hardship in the country. Their parents are now not doing anything except to send their children to go and sell something, as themselves also go out to look for what to eat. So how would they survive if they don't go out? The country is hard. I'm concluding now. Have you ever seen the children of president or governor or senators going out to sell? Because these people are They have billions and trillions of naira around them.
If we keep towing this part, if we keep holding on to this narrative, it some way somehow means that we are in support of whatever anybody needs to do to survive, even though what they're doing is wrong. That's what it means.
Then instead of you to think of how to talk to the politicians to change, will our children of 11 to stay in their house and die?
So now, did you hear me ask the question? What role can citizens play in the fight against child labor in Nigeria? Did you hear that question? I want to be sure you heard the question I asked.
That's what I'm saying. Bring a solution. Tell the government to open companies and factories and employ people. They'll be working and getting their salaries. They will take adequate care of their children. They will not allow their children to go on the street. You that as a journalist, you should do the job. That is how it is being done in other countries.
Wow. And do you know this is not peculiar to Nigeria alone? We still have child labor in other countries where it seems like there are jobs for everybody to do. And I hope you understand that no matter what the government will possibly do, it may almost be impossible for every single individual to have a job. We will still have the poor amongst us. Are you aware?
It is not true. The people that are suffering from child labor in Germany, in America, in France, they are people that were brought from Africa here. We are government do not take care of them.
Exactly. So why is it possible? Why is it possible for our children in Africa to be going to other countries to be laboring? Why is it possible? Who made it possible?
But you can't say an American child is suffering on moving on the street of Germany.
Are you serious? Have you been to America before?
And the reason is because the government of those areas.
I cannot be having this kind of biased argument with someone on radio in the 21st century, in the year 2023, justifying child labor and saying that as a journalist. I mean, we're having a sane conversation here, and I believe at this point we should be thinking deep and reflecting on how some of our actions are contributing to what is prevalent now, as opposed to justifying it. We'll go on a commercial break, and when we come back, the conversation continues. Just stay tuned to us.
The show continues after this break. Nigeria Info.
Sincerely, I don't want to wait till I graduate from this school before I think of what to do with my life.
Exactly. I am going to seriously work on my music skills. Let me use my talent well, I beg.
I would like to be a radio presenter, but I don't know how to go about it.
But why is Timmy so quiet today?
Sorry, ladies. I'm taking this interesting course on how to become a professional scriptwriter. You too can also learn how to become a radio presenter on Wazobia Academy.
Wazobia Academy?
Yes, Wazobia Academy provides accessible and affordable online training in filmmaking, music business, fashion, radio hosting, and lots more. You also stand a chance to be selected for internship in leading production companies, radio stations, music, and fashion studios for hands-on experience. It's easy. Simply log on to www.wazobiaacademy.com or call 0908-826-5038 for more details.
Wazobia Academy. Learn and lead.
Are you into business and sales or offer some sort of service? Looking to connect with the public and potential clients? Then visit the sales and marketing team at our head office, AIM Complex, Kilometer 16, East West Road, Rumosi, Port Harcourt. Contact Ibuchim on 0817-001-8162. Come, let's connect you to the world. Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
We are back. This is
ideologies
and different perspectives.
Share your views on the sunny side.
92.3 Nigeria Info.
Let's talk.
Let's talk.
All right, welcome back to the sunny side. I think I need to explain something further. One thing leads to the other, okay? You put these children at risk, chances are that they get kidnapped and they get trafficked out of the country and taken to other climes to do what they're not supposed to be doing at their age. So what you're trying to say that you're solving the problem of poverty, okay, an access to education, as it were, or you're trying to be cultural because, hey, I mean, in our culture, the children from early age, they start taking responsibility and all of that. Do note that that action is going to lead to a bigger problem. Okay? That action is going to lead to a bigger problem. So while you try to justify because of the current state of the economy and the country and poverty and how the government need to do this and do that, and now as a journalist I need to call the government to do this and do that, you are also fueling someone out there to continue. And in continuing, the trend continues till only God knows when. And I am saying that understandably so. I have highlighted poverty. I've highlighted some of the core factors that leads to the high rate of child labor in Nigeria. But then again, something can possibly be done. And I'm asking, what do you think? What roles can citizens like you and I play in the fight against child labor in Nigeria? Yeah, it's one thing for the government to do this and do that. However, there's some things we can do as individuals. Okay, every time we have conversations like this that affect us directly, we're quick to call on the government. But it is not the government that is putting these children out on the streets. The government have made the law. There is an act. There are penalties for this. How many times have we even seen people that are actively involved in trafficking persecuted? How many times have we seen parents arrested and persecuted on the grounds of they having their children engaged in child labor? How many times have the aunties and uncles that have been maltreating underage children been brought to book? And it is so because some of us either choose to turn a blind eye or assume that, because of poverty, if I cannot help this person, why will I go and report this person? Or, this or that. Are we supposed to be thinking that way now? I have a plethora of messages. I'm definitely going to read them. Even on Twitter, I see some of your tweets. But we need to go on the news break now for trending stories. And when we come back, I continue to take your calls and read your messages as we round off the conversation. So please, in the next how many minutes, before I come back to this conversation, I'm still going to ask, maybe you may use that time to think deeply about this. What role can citizens play in the fight against child labor in Nigeria? Still the sunny side, or your number one station for Talk 92.3 Nigeria Info. The phone lines are buzzing. I'll take your calls after the news break. Just stay tuned.
The latest updates, current issues, and lots more.
If you're just joining us, I'll quickly do a recap of all that has been said so far. We're talking eradicating child labor in Nigeria. And I did mention that the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Labor and Employment, says that child labor persists in Nigeria due to poverty and poor education. She said this while leading a roadwalk in Abuja on Monday to commemorate the World Day Against Child Labor. Ms. Kachalom said over 43% of Nigerian children aged between 5 and 11 years are actively involved in child labor. And that number is about 15 million. So you can imagine 15 million children are child laborers. Now, while I would rule out what constitutes a child labor in Nigeria as well as the penalties, I am still asking the ultimate question: what role can citizens play in the fight against child labor in Nigeria? 0817 923 0002, 0817 923 0003, 0817 923 0007, and 0817-923-0009, which is the female caller number. WhatsApp and Telegram number is 0809-030-641. Remember to turn down the volume of your radio set as you call and also be audible so that I can hear you. So I start with a tweet on Twitter. Twitter handle remains Nigeria at Nigeria Info PH. So where is that? Good afternoon, Denise. In Nigeria, it's so unfortunate because I don't think people really care about child abuse. Everyone focuses on their own lives, so it's so unfortunate the issue is still going on in our society today. Braid from my one. Hi, Braid. Welcome.
Dennis, my name is Wallo. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Welcome.
The truth is that for me, the way I look at the whole scenario is that most parents today, they are vulnerable. And when they are vulnerable, how could they take care of their children or their siblings? In those days when we were small, at 70s, 80s, our parents get job at ease. They go to even when you don't have job, they go to the mangrove, they could be able to get in something, sell it, make money, feed their siblings, train their children with that. But today, even our ecology is nothing to write home about. And you see some of our people that have gotten a job, the government is not also helping. The government is so helping for this child trafficking. Why do I say so? Because here in River State, whereby people have gainfully been employed, and as a family person, maybe 5 or 6 person is looking up to you, and you've been pushing out of job, what do you think will happen to those people that are looking up to you? The government, in as much as I'm concerned, the government is not helping matter. Also, the court is not also helping matter. The judges and the magistrates will also help. It's not helping matter. If they are helping matter, a second person, when such matter has come to their table, they should handle it squarely so that it will serve as a deterrent to others. But in a seven client, you will see there is how they package this underage for them to gainfully be admitted in the school, and where the government take over their responsibility to certain level. When they come up to certain level, through their taxes, they need those things that is being given to them when they are in school. But Nigeria, we are good in one person to pack the whole fund and take it to one country. And tomorrow you come and tell me that parents are not doing the needful, or people are not taking care of their children. That is why there is child trafficking. I say no to that. A lot of parents struggling, trying to do their best. The government is not helping them. The government is not giving.
All right, thank you so much. Ida from Ankara, welcome. Go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
I so love this topic. And what are the federal government doing about this thing? Nothing. Now, if you go to the street of Port Harcourt, you see children walking on that 4th afternoon. And the one that are not living with their parents, you will know. But when you children, you will know very well. The ones that are hawking for their parents, you will know. Why did I say so? That is the children who carry something from morning till midnight, you will not go home. I see some of them crying. One of the pains they want to go and face in the house. I stay with somebody, I know the pains. If you don't tell this, you don't come to the house and you will not eat. So what are the federal government doing about this thing? Nothing. Now you employ somebody in the Ministry of Work. The person will stay there till 100 days will not retire. When he retires, he put his own child. They say the young are going to rule. The young are still the young, the old one are still ruling. If you do something about it, the people are suffering. Honorable, that one is corrupt.
So, Honorable, while we wait for the government to do something, what can you do about it? Mrs. Zion from Jara, welcome to the sunny side. Go ahead.
The government has nothing to do with this issue. The government did not tell you go and give birth to many children. The government never told you that. The truth is, it's we from this time. Who are we? Some of us, we send our children. How much is our child school fees per term? 2 million, 3 million. Can we for once withdraw this child from that eyebrow school and put him in this unity school and spend less than 1 million for that unity school to empower the school? That government school that trained you, can you for once focus on that government school? The truth is this, most of them who are in these parameters of being abused as a child, check the life of their fathers and mothers. They are the ones that were dragging ballot box. They are the ones who are busy elections for politicians. They are the ones who are busy abusing people because they are not supporting their candidate. Now look at the repercussions. Their children. And we too from this side, can we forgive their parents and look at the child, put him in one of these technical schools, or put him under somebody to train them in baking, tailoring, fashion design, computing, mechanics, mention them. If they are there, the person taking care of them will not abuse them.
Okay.
Because you know that you are preparing these ones for the future.
All right, thank you. Osara from Ranimini. Sharif from Jari. Hi, Sharif, welcome. Go ahead.
Hello. Hey. Good afternoon.
Sharif, good afternoon. Go ahead.
I don't think government need to do anything about it because I don't put the blame on the government. I put the blame on the family. If you see most of the children walking on the street now, they are not with their biological mother or father or something of that nature. Because I was once a victim when I was growing up. I wasn't trained by my mom, but the person that is training me, at that time I was like 7 years to 8 years at that. So we are walking together with a friend, and unfortunately a lot is spent at that same point.
You lost the friend.
Yeah.
The friend died.
Died immediately, instantly. Moto climbed this very guy. Unfortunately, I don't think we should put the blame on the government. We should also put the blame on the family. I don't think government has any blame.
So Sheriff, sorry for the experience you had growing up, but as someone who has experienced this firsthand, what do you think we can do as citizens to stop this menace, as it were?
For me, I just think when you have a child, just try and born the one you can train. Don't give your child to someone else to train it for you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Sheriff. Wow. Soki Fubara from Port Harcourt says, Nigeria, we grow to help mom and dad to sell and to do a lot. If you follow your Yibo definition, majority will go to prison. We are Africans. Assisting parents going to fishing, farm, car rearing is cultural practice. It's part of the culture. We got our peculiarities here. The basis of life is not sufficient, especially for those in thriving African countries or African cities. Okay. But the rule in Nigeria, and the same Nigeria that knows that we have culture, says it is wrong. I'll reel them out again. But after I hear from, I lost the call with Olua Shegun. So punishment for it, but we can't talk punishment without talking about what makes it child labor. So for one who subjects a child to any form of exploitative or forced labor, who employs a child to work in a capacity other than domestic or light agricultural and horticultural work as a family member, who asks a child to carry, lift, or move heavy items which could pose negative effects on the child's social, physical, moral, spiritual, and mental development, who employs a child as a domestic help outside the child's family environment or home, who employs a child in an industrial undertaking other than required and duly supervised technical work in schools or other approved institutions. These persons are deemed guilty of child labor in Nigeria and liable to conviction and punishment, imprisonment for 5 years, or the payment of a fine not exceeding 500,000 naira. Depending on the gravity of the crime, the defaulter can be made to serve the term and also pay the fine. So, the Nigerian Constitution prohibits, I'll come to that after a call with Michael from Abloma. Michael, sorry, you have to call back. Buying, selling, hiring, disposing of, obtaining or dealing in children as merchandise. People that sell children. Contracting children to beg for alms, to give alms beggars, to guide, alms beggars, for prostitution work, for domestic and sexual labor, or any other illegitimate and immoral purposes. Enslaving a child for debt bondage. Serfdom, forced and compulsory labor. Contracting children to hawk goods and services on city streets, highways, and brothels. Depriving a child of the opportunity to attend and remain in school. Procuring a child for prostitution and the production of pornographic materials, and contracting a child for drug trafficking. Some of you give children drugs. Igbo, marijuana, that's what it's called. You give them to sell. Nobody will think of these children and say, this child is carrying drugs. They look innocent and all that. You do that. Even send them to go and buy it for you. You send them to go and buy you kai and the rest. Okay. So, I don't know if I should go further, but those are some of the things that are child labor acts in Nigeria. Good day, presenter. For families to take away their children from the streets, child labor, etc., our government should begin to put necessary necessities of life in place to help reduce financial burdens from our parents. Until then, I'm afraid this menace will still be there. Khalif from Woji. Nigerians, good afternoon. Welcome. Go ahead. Hello?
Hello?
Hi, welcome. Go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This child labor comes here. You can't blame the government. It's the parent that ought to blame. Because one, some parents, they don't know how to lead their children. And they will give back to many children that they cannot control.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Let's see. Nigerian folk, good afternoon and welcome.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Osaro.
Osaro, you're
I would start by saying when things fall apart, the center cannot hold. And the Nigerian society right now is like a place of natural citizens. And this law cannot be tried where the keepers of this law are not making the environment conducive. How much was the cup of rice 2 years ago compared to now, the difference? Right now, I can't say a liter, 2 liters of 1,000 naira. So I think the children should come out and protest. This country that the price of flour went up and they were unable to produce bread. How many school children came out and protested the government? And there were results. this country at this time, most laws protecting the children cannot hold because of governance. It has to be everybody, adults, children, everybody should come out and protest. Nigeria is going down. We have been trying to, come up with laws to help the it's just like the same symptoms rather than getting the root cause of the problem.
Okay.
So if we continue like this, we'll just be showing ourselves. The main problem of the country is not paid attention to. There's nothing happening in Nigeria that can show that the government has the interest of children or even citizens. And we can't be patient.
All right, thank you. DDW, since poverty is the major cause of child labor, let parents be gainfully employed regardless of their age. Government leaders, organizations or establishments, etc. should ensure parents who are willing to work are employed, if fit or empowered to start something. It means free education and skills empowerment for children will also help to reduce child labor. Didi, this ugly trend can never be fought because, funny enough, some of these children have come to embrace this reality of theirs. I saw a video of a beggar in Rumokoro. This little girl was asked between collecting money and going to school, which would she prefer? She said she would prefer collecting the money, and her guardian supported her. Very sad indeed. Simply goodness from Port Harcourt. You're not wrong. In fact, I have had a personal experience. I spoke to the parent, says, you know what? Let's take this child off the street. Let's get you something doing. Let's raise this child for you. They no grill. You see that begging? That begging they feel is the highest begging. Still at that Rumokoro area, by the way. Denise, good afternoon. I don't think there's something we the citizens are supposed to do. Poverty is a dangerous disease, and these people you call children, yes, their outward appearance makes them children, but Denise, these are adults in mind. No hungry person is a child. Anywhere you can feed yourself, please do it. After all, not every child you see on the way is uneducated. Country had. Mighty man Samuel. Didi W, I know that it is wrong, and we all know that it is wrong, but the situation of Nigeria now, I cannot stop anybody not to send their children on an errand. Who does not know that Nigeria is the most difficult and expensive country to live in the whole of Africa and the world? It's sad, but it's unfortunate. Didi, will they allow them to school without paying school fees? And where is school fees when their parents cannot afford 1 square meal a day? Aminu, I'll never allow my children to visit anybody for even 1 week. No, not when I'm alive at all. 1 is to set our values right. 2, have a sense of responsibility as parents. 3, on the side of the government, let them promote free education and pay allowances to them. Government should promote increased wages. How can it be in River State for more than 16 years, no effective promotion? Government should create jobs. Government should encourage technical education, and government should also punish the culprits. Now, let me squeeze in one final call as we round off. Nigerian for good afternoon and welcome. Go ahead.
Hello. Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome.
This is Dakuku calling from Okichi, the Smithman of Kichi. Hello?
Dakuku, I'm with you. Go ahead.
Okay, so my good sister, you see this thing you are talking about, you see the worst part of it is the government is not care of their citizens. If they are care of their citizens, all these things will not be happening in this country. I get to my point. Because most of them have been inside almost 10 years. They are pensioners, they are not, the gratuity we are not, if those money we pay, they are able to send their child to the level they needed. Most of them are 7,000. But because of lack of no fund on other things, most all these things, because child traffic on other things, because a child abuse, all these things mingling in this country. So it is very bad enough. The government is, they are all under their own, after their own and their children. I get to my point. They are not care for the masses. It is a share for those who always try for them, vote for them, do this. I know the kind of people that I can vote and support for a nation. People who have brought up from the grassroots, not those who are not brought up from the grassroots. And people who don't care for the masses. So I can support them.
Thank you.
Because of the government. Thank you.
Thank you so much. John will have to call back after this break. Yeah, we have a commercial break coming up. So John, you will have to call back as we round off. I think I have a few more messages to read, and that will be all. Just stay tuned.
You are tuned in to 92.3.
We have to round up the conversation now. It begins with me, begins with you. Some way, somehow, we are enabling this. And if we stop doing certain things, I believe that in no distant time, it will be brought to the barest minimum. Patronizing these children or hawkers, giving them arms. Yes, we do it out of pity for them and their plight. However, if you continue encouraging something, it only means that it will continue to thrive, and not reporting those that we know within our neighborhood that are engaged in this act of child labor. Yes, the justification is things are hard. If you're going to report them, if you're going to stop them, what alternatives are you giving? But then, if we think deeply, there may be maybe why are the parents are the ones laboring? Was it the children? And then this is also going to expose them to a whole lot of danger. So do your part, and I will do my part. My name is Denise Eneswalu. We'll go to a musical break. After that, here's story, and then we'll be back in the final hour of the Sunny Side today to talk romantic scams. Why does it seem so easy to scam someone who is a romantic interest, and are people becoming so desperate for love? These are the questions